again.
Wait, I missed the button.
You didn't hit the button.
Let's try this again. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to the What the What podcast. What are you doing?
Well, my first thought was to flip the table.
I'm so glad you didn't, because this is not our house. This is not my...
Well, my drink's here.
My drink's here too. So.
My iPad's got a nice case on it, so it would have been okay. But
yeah, but the carpet would not have been.
Your computer and
this,
the soundboard.
This is like Fruit Punch Powerade Zero. It's going to stain this carpet really badly. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am your host, Eric Creech, and joining me today as the sound goes out of my headphones.
Yes.
Now that he has finished seeking a dog large enough to ride into battle, Kyle Whitley.
Yep. Here I am.
Oh, here I am.
I ain't rock anybody like a hurricane.
Well, good. We're so glad that you're joining us today. It is currently Thursday, April 23rd, the day we're recording this.
See.
But those of you who are going to be watching on YouTube, listening to it on so many different podcast platforms, it will be April something. What's 4 days?
27th.
From the 27th, yeah. So...
I don't keep up with other days, but Mondays and Fridays I'm pretty good at.
Yeah, because, start your week, end your week.
Well, that's what my
I am just really, really impressed that I could remember that today was Thursday. I think it's because Survivor was on last night, and I do know when Wednesdays are. So
I've run out of things to watch again. We started watching the Outer Banks on Netflix, which is amazing. It's a great show.
What is it about? Is it about the Outer Banks? Because I've been to the Outer Banks.
They're there, and there was this old shipwreck that happened at some point, and there's $40 million of gold that got lost in that shipment.
Okay.
And so these teenagers are out to get it, and there's like the cool kids and the bad kids, or the preppy kids. Mm-hmm. And so if you're from one side of the island, you're not considered cool. You're considered, whatever. And I don't remember all the names. They each have a name. But yeah, Deacon from Nashville is on that show.
Never seen Nashville. You said I would like Nashville.
You would like Nashville.
Facebook people, if you're watching, if y'all have seen Nashville, do you think I would enjoy Nashville?
I think not the town.
I've been to Nashville, the city.
We're talking about the TV.
Nashville, the city is awesome. Okay,
I think you would like Nashville.
I have been to Nashville, the city. I've recorded in studios there. I've been at the Grand Ole Opry. Great stuff. I want to go back. It's been like 15 years since I've been to Nashville.
You literally just named the show.
Well, I mean,
because they go there.
Is this show centered around my life then?
I don't think so.
Why
you're not Raina James, the lady that reminds me of Reba McEntire.
I'm also not Hayden Panettiere.
No, not that either.
Yeah.
But no, they're in the recording studio a lot there. They weekly are at the Grand Ole Opry performing there. And I don't know, it's great stuff. Songwriting's there. Original song, like an actual...
See, I've never been able to get into songwriting. I mean, I've wanted to do that, but I just don't think, my stuff would measure up to what
that's what every person thinks, until they get strong on what they do. Right. The same way we don't feel confident about what we do until you finally do feel confident. You're like, well, actually, I could.
We weren't really confident in this podcast until about November.
Yeah, I'm not super confident now.
I mean,
the numbers don't reflect confidence, but the confidence within myself is reflected in me.
Someone gave me some good advice. Are we having fun?
Yeah,
because if we chase numbers, it'll it's not necessarily fun for that. But if we're enjoying what we're doing, then the numbers don't really matter.
Unless you're a mathematician,
exactly.
Because then numbers matter.
Numbers matter in math, apparently. So it's kind of rainy out there today. I've kind of gotten my wish the past few weeks. I've complained about how beautiful it was outside, and we're stuck inside this hot little room. The room actually kind of a decent temperature today.
Yeah, I got my hoodie on.
So I'm wearing flip flops and my feet are cold. So
we still need to get our studio together. We hadn't done that yet.
No, we haven't.
That's your house.
One day.
When life has passed you by and you're going to sit around and wonder why I was always there for you.
One day I'll be... No, that's
not. I was singing Sugar Ray.
I was singing Taylor Swift with the wrong song. It was Someday I'll Be living in the big old city, and all you're ever gonna be is me.
Bob.
What's up, Bobley? Bobley Swagger.
Yeah, Bob's got a new car.
He does.
A Mazda 3. The motor's blown in it, and he's working on trying to take it apart day by day.
He's going to play it at at the drag racing competition.
I don't think so. He wants to build it so that it is decently quick, but I think he just wants to work on a car, which is fun. That's something we both enjoy to do. At some point, I'm going to go help him take a motor out, but until that point happens, he's slowly taking it apart day by day. Bob's also, sorry for all those people listening that have no clue who he is, Bobby is also a handyman. Because Bob sent me a picture the other day. It's like, I've been at work since 9 o'clock this morning. I was like, oh, the auction. And it's like, no, actually, he's not. Bobby has been building a deck around a pool all day. He went and spent $1,500 at Lowe's, and he decided to build a deck around a pool. So he did that. What else did Bob do? Bob sent a picture earlier. I think he tore a deck down. He's replaced a floor in a kitchen. He's pretty much rebuilding his mother-in-law's house. So maybe that's why he got the permission to marry her daughter. He's like, he looks like a handyman.
That's true. I'm trying to find the great quote that I wanted to run here, but
Fast and Furious one.
Yeah.
Spoon engines. You're a little behind.
I'm a little behind. I'm working on it.
I don't know if it'll work. Frank's joining in. Frank, it's good to see you.
Frank, I love Frank.
Miss Elaine was talking about you the other day. I hope your wife's doing okay.
Still looking for the quote, and I
just type in Hector and spoon engines.
I mean, that's pretty much what I did. And I'm just trying to find it on the page.
Literally, Hector, spoon engines.
Spoon. No, it's not even on this page.
Look, Bob the Builder, over there.
Wow. Thanks for the shout out, Bob the Builder here. All right, zoom. Yeah, interesting.
Hector, spoon engines.
Leave me alone.
Google.
Leave me alone.
Hey Siri. Hector, spoon engines.
Don't interrupt anything. So,
phone's on airplane mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to bring this quote up in like 6 weeks anyway, because we're doing...
it's going to take you 6 weeks to find the quote?
Probably.
It's too long.
Well,
Hector's going to be gone. He's going to rob all the transfer trucks.
Well, don't let that fool you in the fact that Hector's going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. And on top of that, he just came into Harry's and he ordered 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec system exhaust. I'm going to have to memorize that quote. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to interject, like in a random conversation. It's like, well, don't let that fool you, because I heard that he's going to be running.
I think if we're going to do that, we should invite Bob in.
Yeah. I mean, we're already going to have like a guest podcaster. We've already had guest podcasters before with Rickie for Captain America. Ashby Brame is going to be guesting with us in some form or fashion on that podcast. Mm-hmm. So we might as well bring in another.
Bob, you want to do Fast and Furious podcast?
Another car enthusiast.
Not a whole another series, but just an episode for the Fast and Furious podcast. Respond back. Let me know. That's coming up in a month.
Let us know. Sometime in June.
Jonathan Butler's coming into the other half of. Well, I guess the third now, because Bob's joining in with the whole beards and boosts. So
yeah,
3 beards and 3 boosts.
Nice.
Bob will motor turnover.
All right.
But yeah, Fast and Furious is coming up, folks. Yep. Just so you know, not today.
Well, we have a lot of really good episodes coming up in the next month and a half, 2 months. I mean, when we first put the schedule down, we had like a stretch where it was just week after week. It was going to be really, really awesome stuff. Now, we've moved some stuff around. Wonder Woman was originally going to be in June to coincide with its release of the sequel. We're pushing that back to August right now temporarily. We'll see, when it comes out. We want to try to coincide that with the release of the Wonder Woman sequel. We're going to be doing The Office next week, the first season of The Office, which came out 15 years ago. We'll be doing the first season of Survivor, which is 20 years old this year. Anyone watch Survivor? Season 40 is incredible. Last night's episode was literally, an hour of just... It was the best episode of Survivor I've seen in a long, long time.
Does anybody out there on Facebook watch Survivor?
So, we've got Captain America, which is the first really good MCU film in my opinion. Iron Man was pretty good too, but yeah. But yeah, today we're not talking about any of those things.
Nope. You know what today is?
Today,
hammer time.
It's hammer time. I'm even wearing my Thor shirt. I pulled this out of storage.
Why'd you store it?
Because when would I ever wear a Thor shirt?
Anytime that you wear clothes.
Well,
I wear car shirts all the time. Don't mean I'm working on a car.
I put it up because I
sell air filters in a car shirt.
I had to make some decisions on what was going to be hanging up in my closet and in my dresser and stuff, and just
to be fair, you own the entire house.
That's
you have
true.
at least 2 to 3 closets. You can hang clothes in.
Well, I didn't feel like junking them up either, so put it in a box. But I found it and put it on for today's occasion. We are excited to continue exploring the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are going to be running the Infinity Gauntlet today by discussing Thor, which came out in 2011. But before we do that,
before Thor,
if you haven't please subscribe to our podcast. You can do that. Those of you who are listening, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher. I mean, pretty much all of them. I know Kevin Strickland listens to us on Podcast Addict. Yep. There's just so many options. We're on pretty much every major podcast platform. Just make sure you search for What Media.
All one word.
And please rate and review us 5 stars. Now, when we say please rate and review us, we want the 5-star rating. You can review us ever how you want to.
Or if you go to YouTube, you like and subscribe.
Yeah. We're also on YouTube. Again, that's also What Media. You can see, how we interact. Sometimes we move our hands around. That's exciting.
I'm kind of relaxed today.
You're literally
leaned back in the chair.
You started the episode by flipping over your headphones and pounding the table and making the sound go out my left ear.
In here. I can't flip a table in here.
What?
I can't throw.
And you wonder why we don't move this to my house. I don't want you flipping stuff in my house either.
Well, if you at least put foam on the walls at your house, we'd be safe.
No.
People would watch if they saw me flipping tables.
No, I don't care.
How many out there on Facebook would tune in every week to see me
let's use a room in your house.
I don't have any room in my house.
You've got a room full of memorabilia that would be perfect for a podcast.
Actually, I don't. That's full of boxes from Christmas.
Well, we can move. Do your job and move the boxes.
I'm working every day. I don't have time to go home and move.
I'm working every day too. I don't have time to do that either.
To do what?
Exactly.
You don't have boxes.
I do have boxes in that other room.
No.
I do. You've
already started. You've started planning.
I started, but maybe I want to stop, and maybe I just want to pass on to you.
Nope.
Anyway, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, WTW_media, on Facebook and Instagram, also at What Media, all one word. As I mentioned earlier, this episode's on YouTube. Please share, subscribe, like. We have, not a lot of subscribers on our YouTube channel.
It's okay. It takes time. We honestly haven't tried that.
That's really, that's honestly.
Being honest, I've been lazy.
Why haven't we posted the Full House video on YouTube?
I didn't even think about that.
We should go ahead and do that.
You should do that.
You have the video. I don't have it anymore.
You created that video.
Yeah, but I don't.
You didn't delete that. I know you did.
I don't think I have it anymore.
You were too excited about that to delete it.
I was excited about it. But we have in the 30s. We'd like to get to at least 100 so we can put that custom URL. So we can say, youtube.com/what media.
We technically could. We just need to create about 70 more email addresses.
Well, 5 of those subscribers are Kevin Savini. He uses every single one of his.
So if we get 10 more people in on this to make 7 email accounts, we can do this.
Anyway, if you like this episode or any of the other 45 episodes of the What podcast, then we want you to share this with a friend. When you do that, we will give y'all both shout outs, and the next time we record, we'll make sure we mention it. So please, we want to grow the podcast, get it out to your friends. If you're a fan of superheroes, there's plenty of episodes. If you're a fan of Disney, we have great episodes there. If you're a fan of wrestling, we have some of those too. Video games, sure. Music episodes, we love the music episodes. Those are a lot of fun because we get to sing. And I get to sing. I don't know if you're excited about that or not, but I'm excited.
It's a thing. We do it.
We have just a lot of different things. If you want a serious episode, we have the Dead Poet Society, which was one of my first favorite episodes that we ever did. Just a lot of variety in this pop culture, nostalgic, style that we're doing.
Did you watch Good Will Hunting yet?
No.
What are you waiting on?
I don't know.
Get home tonight and watch that.
Don't tell me what to do.
No, you'd love it.
I don't want to hear it. Hey, Kevin.
You didn't wave at Kevin. You waved at Christina. Wave at Kevin.
Wave at Kevin, gosh.
There he is. I don't even know if Christina's went
I'll
through.
wave at Pastor Butch, too. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
can't believe you haven't watched that movie yet.
Whatever.
If you like Dead Poet Society, you will like Good Will Hunting. I promise. You may cry a little bit, but
that's not my business. On today's episode, we are diving into Thor. Here is your spoiler warning for today's episode. While Thor is our primary focus, the movie and the character, we will be going deep. Deep dive! Possibly discussing details from any of the other 22 Marvel Cinematic Universe films, Marvel television shows, comic books from which the source material came from, taking the entire saga into account. So, with that in mind, this drink, I like it. Another!
Throw it.
I'm not going to throw it.
See, people get excited when you start throwing things.
I'm not going to throw it. It's still got drink in it, so.
We need Matt Starlin on the show. He throws things all the time.
Yes, he does. Hey, Kevin, and hey, Michelle. We'll wave at her, too.
Wave it all.
No,
whoa,
oh,
whoa,
no,
whoa,
what I do, what I do. Oh, there it goes.
Blocked her.
I almost blocked her. So, here's some basic information about the movie Thor. It is a 2011 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by Paramount Pictures. This is before Disney bought the rights. It is the fourth film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Directed by Kenneth, I'm going to butcher his last name.
Do it good.
Branagh.
That's a good way.
I'm really not sure how. It premiered in Sydney, Australia on April 17th, 2011, and was released in the United States on May 6th as part of Phase 1 of the MCU. There are 6 films in the first phase of the MCU. We are over halfway there, folks.
We're getting there.
There we go. It was a financial success. It earned $449.3 million worldwide. That's just a little bit of change.
That's a little bit more than what those kids are searching for on the show Outer Banks.
Exactly.
In gold.
In gold. So, I'm going to take us into what happened in the movie.
Don't spoil it.
No, this is spoilers. We warned them. They had their warning.
They haven't had a chance. It's only 9 years old.
Yeah, they've had their warning. I mean, and if you're going to have any Thor movie spoiled, it might as well be this one and the next one. Start with Ragnarok, folks. In 965 AD, Odin, the king of Asgard, wages war against the frost giants of Jotunheim and their leader, is it Laufey? I watched it today. I don't remember how he pronounced it. Laufey, to prevent them from conquering the 9 realms, starting with Earth. The Asgardian warriors defeat the frost giants in Norway, and they seize the source of their power, the Casket of Ancient Winters.
Nice.
That sounds incredible.
I should use one of those.
In the present day, Odin's son Thor prepares to ascend to the throne of Asgard, but is interrupted when the frost giants attempt to retrieve the casket. Against Odin's orders, Thor travels to Jotunheim to confront Laufey, accompanied by his brother Loki, his childhood friend Sif, and the Warriors 3. A battle ensues until Odin interferes to save the Asgardians, destroying the fragile truce between the two races. And because of Thor's arrogance, Odin strips his son of his godly power and exiles him to Earth, which he refers to as Midgard, as a mortal, accompanied by his hammer Mjolnir, now protected by an enchantment that only allows the worthy to wield it. Thor lands in New Mexico because, if you're going to jump to Earth, why not land in New Mexico? Where astrophysicist, a literal rocket scientist, Dr. Jane Foster, played by Natalie Portman, her assistant, your favorite character, Darcy Lewis, played by Kat Dennings, and mentor Dr. Eric Selvig find him. The local populace finds Mjolnir, which is literally like a crater in the middle of the desert. S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson, we remember him from the earlier Iron Man movies. He commandeers, he takes over that area, forcibly acquiring Dr. Foster's data and about the wormhole that delivered Thor to Earth. Thor tries to, retrieve it. We see a nice little cameo from Hawkeye there, Clint Barton.
I remember getting excited about that.
It was super excited. But he gets there and he finds himself unable to lift it. Because guess what? He's not worthy.
Classic Sword in the Stone.
Yep.
Situation.
Just like the Disney movie. You ever watch the Disney movie Sword in the Stone?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
I tried to pull the sword out of the stone in Disney World in December last year.
Were you successful?
No, I wasn't.
Wow.
I did not pull out the sword.
So you were not worthy, is what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know how Disney judges their character.
Yeah. In the meantime, Loki, he discovers that he's not actually Asgardian. He's actually a frost giant. He's Laufey's son.
Surprise.
Yeah, big shot. He was adopted by
Lofi.
Maybe it is Lofi. He was adopted by Odin after the war ended, and after he confronts Odin, Odin falls into a deep Odin sleep to recover his strength.
That's a good nap when you have a nap
named after you. Absolutely.
That's a good.
Loki takes the throne in Odin's stead, and he offers Laufey the chance to kill Odin and retrieve the casket. Sif and the Warriors 3, unhappy with Loki's rule, attempt to return Thor from exile, convincing Heimdall, the gatekeeper of the Bifrost, which allows interplanetary travel, to allow them passage to Earth Loki's aware of that. He sends the Destroyer to Earth to pursue the Warriors, 3 Sith, and to kill Thor. The Warriors find Thor, but the Destroyer attacks them and defeats them, prompting Thor to offer himself instead. Struck by the Destroyer and near death, Thor proves himself worthy by his sacrifice to wield Mjolnir. Okay, just making sure that we are still going.
Sorry, the podcast computer kind of did this weird glitch thing and slowed.
Well, you hadn't touched it in over like 10 minutes, so yeah.
It just scared me the way it glitched.
Yeah, me too.
We'll keep going now. So
absolutely.
Continue on.
So he is able to wield Mjolnir. He defeats the Destroyer, and he kisses Jane Foster goodbye. He promises to return, and he leaves with the fellow Asgardians to confront Loki. In Asgard, Loki betrays and kills Laufey, his biological father, because, this is basically Shakespearean superhero form.
Pretty much Shakespeare.
Revealing his true plan to use Laufey's attempt on Odin's life as an excuse to destroy Jotunheim with the Bifrost Bridge, proving himself worthy to Odin. Thor arrives, and he fights Loki before destroying the Bifrost to stop Loki's plan, stranding himself in Asgard. Odin awakens. He prevents the brothers from falling into the abyss created in the wake of the bridge's destruction, but Loki apparently attempts suicide, or commits suicide, by allowing himself to fall when Odin rejects his pleas for approval. Thor makes amends with Odin, admitting he's not ready to be king, and meanwhile on Earth, Dr. Jane Foster searches for a way to open a portal to Asgard. And that's how the movie ends, folks. Oh, wait, there's more! In a post-credits scene, if you don't know what those are, have you ever seen a Marvel movie?
It's a scene that happens
after the credits. Dr. Selvig is taken to a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility where Nick Fury opens a briefcase and asks him to study a mysterious cube-shaped object, which Fury says may hold untold power. An invisible Loki prompts Selvig to agree, and he does.
Quick question.
Yes.
I don't remember the scene. So when he opens the suitcase, can you see the cube?
Yes, you can.
I've been so much better if you couldn't.
Yeah, this is a nice little precursor to the next movie where the Tesseract, which is what the cube is, plays a very major part in that story's plot.
See, in my mind, though, I'm thinking like it'd be cooler if Nick Fury, who's played by Samuel Jackson, is like, come look what's in this briefcase.
Is it like a Pulp Fiction reference?
And it's the Pulp Fiction reference where the light comes on, like the suitcase is glowing, but you don't see what's in the suitcase.
There's a great Pulp Fiction themed episode of Community that I think you would enjoy. It's not even really Pulp Fiction themed. It's actually My Dinner with Andre themed. It's really awesome. It's in season 2. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Actually, I liked it. I went back and watched it last week, or maybe this weekend sometime. All the days come together. Yeah, I enjoyed it much more than I remembered enjoying it. Because I remember, like, growing up, Thor was not on my radar. Like, I knew he existed, but he wasn't one of your major, like, X-Men. He wasn't Spider-Man. He wasn't Wolverine. He wasn't on your shows much. You would see him in some classic Marvel shows. He may have made an appearance here or there on, like, a Spider-Man episode or something. But for me, I knew he existed. I knew the character's name, and I knew what he looked like. And that was honestly about all that I knew. I knew his weapon was a hammer, and I knew that he was like a godlike character. That's all I knew. So it was cool going in and watching this. I really wasn't expecting to care for it much, like especially the first time. Just because, I don't know, I'm more of a Batman type superhero person, more of an X-Men type where the action's right there. It's not
right.
Like, especially if you heard him speak, he was very,
Shakespeare in the Park.
Yes.
As Tony Stark would describe it.
Yes.
Does mother knowest thou wearest her drapes?
So with that, I didn't know what to expect, but I love the way that they did it in this movie with Chris
What's up, Jermaine? What's up? How you doing, man?
Sorry. You're good. They more so used just Chris Hemsworth's actual accent and let that be more of a thing. Sure, he had some language that was scripted better, but they didn't go overboard with it so that you were able to just enjoy the movie and the character for who he was. And they also did give you that little bit of a humor, which they more increase on in the coming movies. But you just get this you get a full character. You don't get just one flat character with him. So it was cool. Like, I really enjoyed it. I did notice for me, which came from Incredible Hulk, right?
Yes.
And then Iron Man.
No, it was Iron Man 2 prior to this movie.
So coming from those movies, I'm so used to seeing big worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when in this movie you're seeing, up and Asgard, you see all these beautiful things and like all this huge giant realm and area. But when he's on Earth,
it's not a major city.
Especially watching it the other day, I was like, this is just filmed on like studio. Like there's a lot in a desert somewhere with these buildings set up. And I bet like you can see down this alley, and I bet that's just one giant green screen because it didn't take away from it. Like I enjoyed it. It honestly simplified things, especially with that character who is, so complex and godlike. To put him down here in this place that doesn't have some big giant city. It's just out in the desert with some random corner stores, probably a couple of blocks is all that's there, at least that we ever see.
Right.
And then it's just desert. So, especially whenever they're going out to try to find Mjolnir, and it's like 50 miles away. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just 50 miles into the desert. It's not like, 2 towns over. Like, no, it's just...
No, it's literally middle of nowhere. And, like, so when I went to Texas, back in 2013, I was told, if you need to go out of town, stop at this gas station. There's literally not another one for like another 200 miles. Like literally, like it's nothing but desert, plain land, whatever. I mean, you don't really see that here in North Carolina because we've got hills and mountains and just a vast variety of things.
But I enjoyed it though. Like I really, it made me like the character again. Like I've liked him in other films as we've got to know him more.
Right.
But more so, he's in the other films that I've really paid attention to him. He's just like a comedy relief type thing that's super powerful whenever he feels like being powerful almost.
Right.
So for this to see it and to see him and the characters that are surrounding him that you don't really ever see again much anyway, you see a couple, but you just see him do his own thing this time, especially when he's on Earth during that time.
Right.
So I just enjoyed it. I feel like it's one that I'd recommend. It's not like a top Marvel movie. It's not there for me, but it's one of the ones that I could care less about Thor until I watched this movie, and I left the theater caring about him and wanting to know what was next. Same way, I had no clue who Loki was before this movie.
Right.
And Loki was a breakout star for this, where people still love Loki, where he's getting his own
TV show now. Yeah.
So, I don't know. What did you think? I know it's not one of your biggest things.
It's not one of my favorite movies. Now, it's not a bad movie by any means, okay? But when you compare it to the other MCU movies, it's really hard to kind of measure up in my opinion. I enjoyed it for what it was. My first introduction to Thor was the Avengers. And, for someone who kind of went into that movie having only seen Captain America, I was kind of blind to the other. So they did the Avengers, we'll talk about that in June. They did a really good job of reintroducing characters for those who may have not have seen the other films. So when I came back and watched this, I had a little bit of knowledge about Thor. I actually knew more about Loki because The Mask.
The Mask?
Yeah, with Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
His mask was based on Norse mythology, and, the guy who was the psychiatrist or whatever said it was based off Loki, the god of mischief.
Put none of that together.
And so when I heard the name Loki, I remembered that, and it kind of makes sense, Loki, the god of mischief. In the movie The Mask, the mask is, mischievous and, does all these sneaky things. It makes a lot of sense.
And the mask turns your face green. Yep. Loki wears a green cloak.
Yep. I mean, it's all connected.
It's all there.
So, is the mask, in the MCU now?
It should be. Jim Carrey hasn't made it in there yet. So
not yet.
I think he should be there.
Sure, why not? But yeah, I really enjoyed it for what it was.
Somebody stop me. Can you just imagine that?
In my ranking of the MCU films back before I watched Avengers Endgame, so this was out of 21 films, not including Endgame or Spider-Man Far From Home, Thor was number 18. It was better than Iron Man 2, it was better than The Incredible Hulk, and it was better than Thor The Dark World. But for me, there were other movies that were just better than it. But it actually, like the tier it's on, some... it's in good company with other movies that I really enjoy. So when I say it's 18th out of 21, and now it's probably like 20 out of 23 because I enjoyed Endgame and Spider-Man more than this one, that is not meant to be a slight. It's more of a statement in that how high quality Marvel films have been even over the past 12 years.
We can just see how much they're better now. Just even like how much more they're made, which they've had so much time to put things together where they can do things like that now.
Yeah.
Versus in the beginning, you're just getting to find out who in the world this guy is.
Exactly.
Versus when they introduce people, and I mean, they didn't do a bad job at it, but now they've had experience behind them, funding behind them. So they can continue to get better with every movie. Because also people expect every movie to be just as good, if not better, than the previous one.
Absolutely. So. Kyle Odinson.
Yeah.
You have betrayed the express command of your king. Through your arrogance and stupidity, you've opened these peaceful realms and innocent lives to the horror and desolation of war. You are unworthy of these realms. You're unworthy of your title, and you're unworthy of the loved ones you have betrayed. I now take from you your power. In the name of my father and his father before I, Odin Allfather, a.k.a. Eric, cast you out to tell us your best scenes.
Wow, you said all of that. All I could think is technically I should be Kyle Dougson.
Yeah, I thought about that earlier. I was like,
my dad's name is Doug,
I couldn't remember if your dad's name, first name was Doug.
It is Dougson. Okay,
so Kyle Dougson.
And then
or it would be Douglas' son, right? Or is he just Doug?
By Doug?
Yeah, but it's full name. I mean,
you don't want to go by full name.
Kyle Douglas' son.
That doesn't rhyme. It rolls off the tongue is good.
I think it rolls off better. Actually.
Dougson is better.
What are your best scenes?
I don't know. Now I can think about how good a Dougson nap would be because my dad takes amazing naps. So, I'm going to jump straight to the part I really love about the overall arc through this movie, and to see Thor go from this little brat of a kid that I forgot all about until I watched it again the other day. See how much of a jerk he was, where he was super prideful and super all up about himself. That you go from there, you even go to the point where he's about to be pronounced like the king or whatever, and he's still a jerk there, where he's still cocky and still all about himself. And then to see where he's at the end of the movie.
Right.
So that's just an overwhelming, overarching thing. But one of my favorite ones is the fight with the frost giants.
Yes, early in the movie.
Because honestly, later in the movie, his big fight is against, the Destroyer or whatever?
Yes.
Destroyer, the Destroyer?
Yeah.
And that character's not bad, and it fit well on Earth, but it definitely, the fight was better at the beginning of the movie than at the end.
I would compare the fight at the end to a Power Rangers Zord fight. Especially in the early seasons where, they made the monster grow. Let's bring up the Megazord, and here's the sword, and he's dead. It's not even, contest at that point.
Yeah.
And, it was like, okay, we know he's going to win, but it's just not as exciting. You're right in that the first fight was better. Plus, it was a good introduction to how Thor fights and battles with Mjolnir and everything. So
you got to see a giant experience while he's facing giants, but to see what Mjolnir's capable of, to see what Thor's capable of. You also see Loki for the first time where he fakes to be there, where somebody tries to knock him off a cliff, and then turns out he wasn't there. He was just put a 3D module out there. Right. It's kind of like Tupac at that concert at that time.
Yes.
But
going deep with the references today.
Yes. But I don't know, because you also get the side of Loki where you do, I feel start to like Loki, because he's not a jerk there. He's done some bad things to kind of even get him there at that point, but you start to see that other side of him in the mix of all this fighting of who he kind of is too at the same time, where he's trying to figure out who he is.
Right.
So I enjoyed that. But I just feel like the fight's really good. I feel like it was some of those creepy things almost a little bit where it's just some dark eyes or, I guess bright eyes out of a dark area coming out.
Right.
And then the giant comes out, and then all of them start coming out of nowhere.
Right.
I don't know. I just really enjoyed that fight scene. Like I said, I feel like it's better than the ending fight scene.
That's cool.
How about you?
One of my favorite scene is the infiltration into the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility for Thor to try to retrieve Mjolnir. I like it because it was creative. You got to see Thor not just kind of brute force his way, but it actually there had to be some stealth involved. I like the little nod to Donald Blake, which is his alter ego in the comics.
Yep.
I like the fact that we got a view at a adventure in Hawkeye, Clint Barton, and we got to see his abilities, or his ability to just really aim at stuff, and we got to see Thor be confronted with the reality of the fact that he's no longer worthy to hold the power of Mjolnir. Like you said, he was kind of an entitled jerk a little bit. This is him kind of finally facing the grips of that reality. Nothing's bad going to happen to me, and then he can't pick up the hammer, and he's just he's just a regular guy at that point. I also like the scenes kind of preceding that with you have all the people trying to pick up the hammer, and it takes part the back end of the truck and I mean, it's just, anything.
Stan Lee's driving that truck.
Yeah, exactly. There's your Stan Lee cameo for this movie. We'll talk a little more about that in our fun facts. But that was my favorite scene. I do have some other scenes that I enjoyed. I enjoyed all the interactions that he had with Darcy.
I put that down.
With
I just
Jane,
love his
with Dr.
interactions with
Selvig.
humans.
The fact that he loves the coffee so much he throws it down. He demands another. He asks for a horse at the pet store, and we don't have it. He's like, well, let me take one of those. One large enough to ride. It points to the dog, and just all those interactions are great. Just Thor interacting with humans on Earth in everyday life. I still love it. In all the more recent movies, you can tell he's that fish out of water type character, and it's just great to see him trying to get a grasp on what's not normal to him or what may be normal to him, and it's just not possible here. So those are my favorite things. Do you got anything you want to add to that?
I think those are good. So whosoever holds this podcast,
That's
if
me.
he be worthy,
That's me.
shall possess the power of Thor.
Yes, that's why I have the shirt.
Oh, nice. In every episode from Running the Infinity Gauntlet series, we will take a deeper look at one of the elements that plays an important role in the movie and the entire saga. So with that in mind, Eric,
Yes.
let's take a look. Well, not look. Let's take a trip to the Avengers compound and teach us what we need to know about Mjolnir.
Is Avengers Compound, are they an essential business, during the coronavirus outbreak?
Well, they don't really follow government rules anyway.
This is true. They, if they didn't sign the
waiver.
the accords.
Contract.
Yeah.
Who was that guy that ran for, I'm not a politics person, but he ran 20 years ago, at this point 15, where he was really getting excited. And he's like, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. And he's like,
I have no idea.
Man, that's all I can think about with reading the word Mjolnir, especially when you've got it in all capital letters on the sheet in front of me. Talking about Mjolnir!
It looked really weird typing out in all caps, too, because I've never seen it in all caps before. Mjolnir is a mythical weapon appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, depicted as the principal weapon of the superhero Thor and Jane Foster. Mjolnir plays a prominent role in Thor's story arc throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It appears in the following ways. In the Iron Man 2, Mjolnir is briefly seen by itself during the post-credit scene at the bottom of a giant crater in New Mexico, where S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson informs Nick Fury, "We found it." In Thor, the 2011 film that we're talking about today, Thor is cast out of Asgard, and Odin deems him unworthy of wielding it, stripping the god of thunder of his powers and enchanting the hammer with the words, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." After Thor commits an act of self-sacrifice, he regains the ability to wield Mjolnir and regains his powers. In The Avengers, Thor wields Mjolnir throughout the movie, uses it in some incredible ways, able to flip it around and command lightning and just really good stuff. In Thor: The Dark World, Thor wields the hammer against the Dark Elves, and it proves nearly powerful enough to destroy an Infinity Stone, the Ether/Reality Stone. In Avengers: Age of Ultron, this is one of my favorite scenes in the entire cinematic universe that they've presented to us. Thor uses Mjolnir throughout the movie, and during a party, the other male Avengers and War Machine attempt and fail to lift the hammer. Although Steve Rogers, he's able to move it slightly to Thor's slight, worrisome dismay. Black Widow Natasha Romanoff declines to try, saying she doesn't really need to know the answer to this question. The Vision also wields it in the final battle against Ultron with his ability to wield the hammer, convincing the other Avengers to trust him. At the end of the movie, Thor uses a blast from Mjolnir combined with a blast from Tony Stark's armor to destroy Sokovian landmass and foil Ultron's plot. There's a great scene at the end of that movie when Thor is really down and Captain America and Iron Man are trying to cheer him up because, he's down that Vision can lift the hammer. He thought he was the only one worthy. And he's like, well, you got to think of it this way. Vision's, kind of like an inanimate, it's not really human. I mean, if you place the hammer on the elevator and it goes up, the elevator can lift it, but the elevator's not worthy. You remember that scene?
All I'm thinking about is if you put it on an escalator, would the escalator move? Or would it just break?
I don't know. In Thor Ragnarok, Thor's sister, Hela, destroys Mjolnir during a battle with Thor, but at the film's conclusion, Thor learns how to channel his power without using the hammer as a focus. And in Avengers Endgame, Thor, who has become depressed, is ignoring his personal care, such as exercise or grooming, while grieving over the failure to stop Thanos in Infinity War. He obtains a past version of Mjolnir from the events of Thor: The Dark World, which is at a point of time before it was destroyed, to test his own worthiness. Once he returns to the present with the past Reality Stone and the past Mjolnir, Captain America proves worthy of wielding it during the climactic fight against a time-displaced Thanos, which was one of the biggest parts of that movie. I can't wait till we talk about this in 2 years. To Thor's delight and his exclamation, "I knew it!" Through the hammer, Captain America gains access to some of his abilities, such as summoning Mjolnir to himself and calling upon lightning attacks. Though Captain America mainly wields the hammer in battle, Thor at one point dual wields Mjolnir and his new axe Stormbreaker against Thanos. After the film's events are resolved, Captain America returns Mjolnir to the point in history where it was taken along with the Infinity Stones to prevent alternate timelines from forming.
Yeah!
And here we remain as the beacon of hope, shining out across the stars. And though we have fallen into man's myths and legends, it was Asgard and its warriors that brought peace to the universe. So, let's slip on that Infinity Gauntlet. And let's look at 6, one for each Infinity Stone, of our favorite observations and insights from Thor. You go first.
All right, I will. Anthony Hopkins improvises his scene.
You don't have to yell.
Well, you pumped me up. You got so excited there, and we can't drop it off from there. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Odin's son. No, Odin, not Odin's son.
Well, that's his name.
Odinson?
Yeah, Odinson Allfather.
That's a crazy
It's a great name.
Name your child that.
I might.
Anthony Hopkins improvised the scene where he's throwing Thor out and yelling at him and casting him out and taking away his power. That's another one of my favorite scenes, but I didn't want to include it because it's here. But while he did that, he improvised that, and while he was yelling and got so emotional that a lot of the cast and crew, while filming, began crying because it was just such a passionate delivery during that.
Anthony Hopkins is always a win in my book. He's awesome. I would say he's a national treasure, but I don't think he's American, so he's someone's national treasure. I don't think he's ours.
I've never seen Nicolas Cage try to take him or anything. So.
Nicholas, okay.
He takes all the national treasures.
Number 2, Stan Lee mentioned that he wanted to play Odin in a movie ever since he adapted the character from Norse mythology for the pages of Marvel comic books. In the lead up to this movie, Stan Lee joked in interviews that he was disappointed that the director refused to even consider him for the part. But all joking aside, Stan Lee always maintained that he was happy with the casting of Anthony Hopkins and felt he did a great job with the character. It would have been fun to see Stan Lee as a real character beyond his standard cameo appearances in one of these movies, though.
That's true. Next, I have Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki, complained about his helmet. That's something that a lot of people bring up, especially now they don't so much, but back, especially in the beginning, why hasn't Captain America got his mask on all the time? But thankfully, a lot of the battle stuff he does. But Thor doesn't wear his helmet much anymore. Mm-hmm. He does randomly. Loki's the same way. He'll randomly have that giant helmet on sometimes, but not all the time. But he complained that it was painful to wear. It was weird. It was, let me read my right words.
Read your right words.
Uncomfortable, heavy, and he couldn't see well out of it. So while he was filming, he would try to take the pain that he was feeling with this helmet on and use that in his acting during the fight scenes.
Okay. Number 4.
We should get helmets.
We've worn helmets before.
And they fit our heads.
They did. And when we went axe throwing with James and the Nichols family for James' birthday, I thought we looked good in those helmets.
We should get those and wear them every week on the podcast.
No. They're heavy. I get it. They're very heavy. And I don't want to...
our shoulder strength.
I don't care.
We have the biggest shoulders on the block.
Number 4. Brad Pitt was rumored for the role of Thor. Channing Tatum, and this is something I didn't know, WWE wrestler Triple H, known as Paul Levesque in his
Nobody knows him as that.
were considered for the part. Daniel Craig was also the first choice for it, apparently. Charlie Hunnam, Tom Hiddleston, who ended up with the role of Loki, Alexander Skarsgård, Liam Hemsworth, and Joel Kinnaman screen tested for the role. But it ended up coming down to Chris Hemsworth and Liam's Hemsworth, with Chris ended up getting the role. Liam ended up with a role in The Hunger Games that same year. So,
Charles Hunnam would have been good at that. Hunting, whatever. He was from the Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I think
he was done well at that. I think he went on to do some other stuff somewhat similar. My last one, director Kenneth
number 5.
Kenneth Branagh. He was a big Thor fan before he ever even became the director of this. But once he did sign on to be the director, Marvel sent him a catalog of every single Thor comic book ever made. So he now has this giant Thor collection, which I think is amazing because I don't know if they sent him individual issues or if they sent books. I would hope they sent him issues because how much more awesome is that? Like, first, that's part. They probably took the money out of his contract to pay him. They were like, here, these comic books are worth more than your contract. So I don't know. I just thought that was a neat fact that they went out of their way to give him that kind of as an educational thing, but at the same time, just knowing he's a giant fan to send him all those comic books.
And this may be the first time we've done a movie that you haven't stolen one of my facts. So
I had a list of your facts
this time. That's true, and I appreciate it. The artifacts seen in the Asgard Weapons Vault, this is number 6, by the way, are of various mystical objects seen in Marvel Comics. They are in the chronological appearance, the tuning fork, a device that can summon monsters, the Tablet of Life and Time, a slab that can extend one's lifetime, the Warlock's Eye, an artifact that can control people's minds. That's interesting. The Eternal Flame, which is a mystical fire that cannot be extinguished, and it played a major role in Thor Ragnarok. The Casket of Ancient Winters, which was a big part of this movie, an enchanted container filled with frosty winds. The Infinity Gauntlet, a glove encrusted with 6 reality-bending jewels. Later on in the MCU, Thanos had started to construct the Infinity Gauntlet. In Thor Ragnarok, they retconned this inconsistency by having Hela claim that the gauntlet and some of the items in the vault were fakes. So
that's a way to save things.
Yep, but a nice little shout out to the future of the MCU there. What do we got next? I don't have a little segue for this, but what's next on our schedule here for this episode?
Social media shoutouts,
which is falling to me.
It is. This used to be the job that I had,
right?
And then now my phone's busy, my iPad's busy, and I'm not a mind reader.
Well, next week you'll have your phone back.
Maybe,
hopefully, because we have a new camera. Hopefully, we can.
I got to see if it'll record long enough. If the battery will die before we get done.
That's true. So give me a second to pull up what we have.
Something else that I'm excited for is there's another Thor movie coming out at some point. And
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Jane Foster is rumored to become Thor.
Yes, which happens in the comics.
It happened like a while back where they were anticipating it possibly happening sooner than this, but we'll see her coming back. I think it'll be a fun time to see.
Yep.
A good worth the $12 it'll probably cost to go see it.
Yep.
Or $30 if you get popcorn.
Yep. And maybe like a water. So. Joy Woods Wright from our Facebook page.
We know her.
She said she liked this one. It was a nice introduction to the character. It was not my favorite, but while Easy on the Eyes, Thor is not my favorite MCU guy. I think the other Thor movies had more humor. Ethan Brantley says, I want to like Thor, but I just can't. At least not as much as other characters. The main thing I like about Thor, even though it's not until the 3rd movie, is that we get introduced to Surtur. So moving on, I'm gonna check the what page to make sure no one commented on that.
Checking all the things.
By the way, I changed
I saw that
our picture because
it looks good. It's a quality photo.
Well, I didn't like the other one because I looked fatter in that one, which I was fatter in.
You
that
were.
One. So
fatter now.
I wanted to update it to where we have a pretty decent picture of at least me. I mean,
we should do a picture every month of us just standing in front of the tables, and it's just a close-up shot of our stomachs with like our shirt off.
Yeah,
because that'll
inspire us.
It'll be like, man, I don't want to look this. I want to look better next month when we take this picture.
Oh,
we should do that.
Let me just pull out the Instagram stuff. Then we'll get to Chelsea's Twitter, or not Chelsea, Ashby's.
Get it right.
Yep.
We'll pay the price.
Yep. 80s parody on Survivor on Instagram says it's a better than average Marvel movie, and you responded watching it again last week. I really enjoyed it, and he responded, maybe it's time for a rewatch myself. I hope this guy chimes in on the first season of Survivor when we do that episode, because
we need to get him in, because I don't know anything about Survivor.
I don't know anything about this guy, so I mean, I'm just a Survivor fan. So.
Or gal at this point.
It could be a gal, absolutely. All right, so
it could be Rickie.
Ashby sent these in as we started recording. So these are like under the radar, like right in the nick of time. She said, I forgot to respond to this. First, hashtag Phil Coulson is an American hero.
For sure.
Second, hashtag Darcy Lewis deserves to be on screen the person she is in every fan fiction I've ever read.
She also should be in every Marvel movie because I enjoy her that much.
She is fantastic. And third, well, I don't really have a third. I really love Thor. Honestly. I think God someone does. And I feel like each actor in the Thor movies did what they could with the material. Nothing will ever beat any Thor movie directed by Taika Waititi. And I know I butchered his name too, because that's just something I do. Thank you, Ashby and Ethan and Joy and 80 Survivor Parody on Instagram. We really appreciate y'all tuning in and leaving us a comment. Make sure you follow us on those social media platforms. We'll try to get the topic of the week out on the Wednesday before we record on Thursday, so y'all will have a chance to chime in.
Chris Rowe didn't comment on this one.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, I really think Chris is probably a Thor fan. Like, I really think there's something about
I think Chris could do a pretty good Thor impression.
Yes. In high school, Chris had hair as long as Thor's.
Yes.
And he probably, especially a little gruff on his beard, he's not nearly as strong as Thor. He doesn't have the muscular body, but he also isn't in bad shape either.
Yeah.
So I feel like he probably would, especially like the love and the humor.
Mm-hmm.
You see him too. I feel like Thor is a Chris Rowe character. I could see Chris like having a hammer in the back of his car at all times, just to be like, "Ha Mjolnir," and then like beating somebody with a hammer.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, friends. Well, a big thank you to Rickie Liles, who lets us record in his house, our producer. Tim Hutchinson, who provided some research on this episode. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did, and that you're as pumped for the rest of this journey into the MCU films. Next month, we are going to be covering Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah!
With special guest Ashby Brame. We're super excited to have her in studio.
Yeah!
And next week, we are discussing the first season of The Office. The first 6 episodes of one of our favorite TV shows. Yep. I'm taking that journey to Scranton, PA. Until next time, then this is where we say goodbye. Jane Foster, Dr. Selvig, Darcy, Kyle, Rickie, Scoobs, farewell. Stay as cool as the other side of the pillow, and we will see you next week on the What?